All right, so we are facing a profound question here. Is the world coming to an end or not? And my guess is no. So I think it's time to start buying some stuff. And if I'm wrong and the world does come to an end, money's not going to be worth anything anyway. So, it's kind of like a no-brainer. All right. Anyway, wow, look at this. Uh, look at where today's sell-off in the S&P was. I mean, stop. Look at that. Like right back here on August 5th. The low trade was 505.48. Today's opening trade was, or I'm sorry, today's low trade was 505.06. Pretty amazing, right? Here we are months later. All right, low trade 505.48, low trade 505.06. We're talking about pennies on a $500 security. So I think the baby is going out with the bathwater here. A 10% correction in the market is nothing. I don't want to say it's nothing, but let me just say it's not uncommon. It happens every couple of years. Back in like this move right here, right? I mean, it doesn't look like it because of the scale of the chart, but from here, August of 23 to here, October of 23, it was a 10% sell off, and there was no talk of trade wars then. I think it's just natural market stuff, stuff. Now, granted, this looks bad, and it is, but markets don't go down forever, and I think we got to start positioning ourselves for some kind of a reversal. This is like panic selling. There's two times where people are aggressive in selling. The smart money sells aggressively at the beginning of a trend, and the quote unquote dumb money sells aggressively at the end of the trend. And once the market runs out of sellers, in other words, once everyone who wants to sell is done selling, the market's not going to go down anymore. You need sellers for a market to go down. So this is a very clear level. We're very oversold. We're going to get a lot of info from what happens here on Monday. But at some look, I don't know where the market's going to be in a year. No one does. But I would be willing to say that, in my opinion, I think there's a really good chance that by this time next week, the market is meaningfully higher. And I don't mean it's going to like soar to all time new highs, but we could get like a 5% or maybe even a 10% rebound. I was watching the local New York City news this morning, and they're talking about the stock market, and this is just like the local news. They never talk about the stock market unless it's making extreme highs or extreme lows. And guess what? It's a good contrarian indicator. So look at the gaps. And so when this does reverse, and it will, I mean, I don't know when it's going to happen, but at some point it's going to reverse, and there's going to be some trading ideas on the upside. All right, so that's the S&P. I also want to take a quick look at oil here. So I'm just saying for the S&P, I mean, we'll talk about it next week. And please sign up for my trading lessons. Like, you got to actually pay some money, and I'll send you my technical analysis presentation that I gave last week. But yeah, look at that. Fast move down, fast move up. A lot of times when you get a fast move down and you reverse, you get a fast move back up. One of the main reasons why we get resistance is because you got people that bought who regret buying, see support, when the price goes lower, and they say if it ever gets back to my price, I'm going to get out at break even. So support can become resistance. When you have a big move lower like this, you just don't have a lot of time for there to be a bunch of people buying. So there's not going to be this like huge interest of remorseful sellers who are going to try to sell on the way back up. So when the reversal starts, the buyers have a hard time finding sellers, and they're forced to be willing to pay premiums. Oh, this is kind of interesting too. I mean, look at this. We're going to talk about our price levels. Look at that. So yesterday's sell-off ended at a former support level. Today's sell-off ended at a former support level. There tends to be support at levels that were support before, because people who sold, who regret doing so, are buying their shares back when it's finally back to their price, and then get out at like break even. Well, actually, not psychologically get out of break even. I don't mean money wise. important to watch. Now, next thing I want to bring up, where there's definitely going to be some trading ideas, is oil. I mean, look at this breakdown here. Oil broke this price level that had literally been support for 2 years. Now, what I would kind of do here is kind of just true this up. You know what? I don't want to actually, whatever. I'll just move this down a little bit. Let's call it 66. There's going to be some kind of a reversal here. And when oil gets back to 66, and my guess is probably going to happen tomorrow or Monday, then the question is, does the level that was support turn into resistance? And will it reverse and go lower? And if it does, then we start to play some oil ideas on the downside. And you might not be a futures trader, but we can talk about ETFs, inverse ETFs. As traders, we don't, I guess in the overall scheme of things, we don't want markets to go lower. But as traders, this is the type of market where there are trading opportunities galore. I mean, look at that. Support became support here, became support here. And we're, like I said, I don't know where the market's going in a year, but in my opinion, in a week or two, it's going to be meaningfully higher. And there's going to be some opportunities for some good trades here. You know what I was watching today was Best Buy. And this is a really good example of what we do, right? So the stock sold off, got crushed last couple of days. Where did it find support? Look at that. Lo and behold, the same price that was support in November of 23. It held support. It's trading up in the aftermarket. I think we're going to see some kind of a reversal in the market on the upside. This is, we gapped down. We ripped fast really through it here, which means, again, there's probably not going to be that much vested interest on the way back up. So this is liable to really just rip a lot higher, right back up to 70, which is like a 15 or 17% move. And I think that could happen in like maybe 2 or 3 days. And of course, we could see, look at that. Resistance turned into support, support turned into resistance. All right, everyone. Hopefully that helps. Remember, this happens once every 3 or 4 years. The market has a 10% correction. The world is not coming to an end. Who knows? Maybe in the long run, all these tariffs are good for the country and the market will be at all-time highs in a year. And I hope that's what happens. But we'll watch and we'll see what it does. All right. Thank you all. I'll see you soon.